What do you eat to optimize your health? You are your own special, unique entity, and no one is like you. Eat clean and eat whole foods. Fruit juice, Fruit juice is pure sugar. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Good Gut Feeling Podcast, where we digest modern medicine with old world wisdom. Today, we're going to talk about something that comes up with all my patients, something I speak about multiple times a day. What do you eat? How do you feed your gut to really get gut health? Before we jump right into it, before we talk about this important topic, quick word. This episode, all our episodes in the past are for educational purposes only and do not take the place of medical advice from your doctor. It's not a question I get so many times, something I address with every single patient I see. Something so important. What do you eat to optimize your health? Now, you may have heard a lot of information from different people about specific diets, and many are advocates of a specific diet. Like, some people love the carnivore and some people are completely plant-based, and you hear a lot of experts who are very focused on one diet. And that diet does work for some people, for some time. But does it work for you? For your composition, for your genetics, for your state of health, for your situation in your life, in your health, in your family, in your work, for you. You are your own special, unique entity, and no one is like you. So it makes absolute sense that you should have a diet that's different from someone else. That's very, very complex. So how do we figure that out without going to a doctor? How can we kind of gauge what we need? So I'm going to give you some basic concepts, what applies to everyone, and some ways that you can determine which is the right diet for your health. Number one, certain things apply to every single living being on this planet, including your pets. Eat clean and eat whole foods. So there's no one who benefits from preservatives, from additives, from food colorings, or from ultra-processed foods. No one. Not a single human, not a single animal benefits from that. So that is a forever for everyone all the time. Eat clean. Eat clean foods. Eat minimally processed or completely unprocessed foods. So when you take an apple, well, unless that apple has now that coating or something on it, it's unprocessed. If it's organic, it's great. If it's organic, it's great. Organic's not typically 100% organic in the United States. If it is properly labeled, it usually is at least 90% organic. So it's better. It's unprocessed. It looks like it came from the soil. It's just a whole apple. So most people can eat that. But once you start getting packages and cans and you have no idea what it is, and then you look at ingredients and they sound like chemicals or they sound like nothing you've ever heard, those foods you should not eat. That's for everyone all the time. Stick to whole foods. Chicken, you got chicken, plain, regular, raw chicken, ideally pasture raised, ideally organically fed, ideally it's a healthy chicken that's walking around eating worms, not genetically modified corn, ideally it wasn't injected with antibiotics. Yeah, all those things apply, but it looks like a chicken, ideally. We want something that looks like a chicken. Once we get a chicken nugget, then it's breaded and it's fried and it might be with bad oil, then we don't even know if it's a good chicken or if it's a chicken byproduct or it's what's even in that. Then you stay away from that. Those are not even close to the same. Those are not even close to the same quality of foods. You get the whole chicken or chicken byproduct, they're not both chicken. One is chicken and one is ultra processed food. Not good. Stick with the whole chicken. Same thing with fish, same thing with any food. For example, rice, brown rice. Brown rice has its own issues. It needs to be cleaned properly. A lot of it has arsenic. Assuming we bypass it, we get a high quality rice and then we clean it properly. There's different ways to clean it. You cook that rice, pressure cook it, you cook it in a rice cooker. You have a natural, mostly unprocessed grains of rice that you can eat. You take that rice and then you make it into a flour and you make it into something else, like for example, rice cakes. Most people think they're healthy, and some of them are just made with rice and salt, but they're not the same. Once you make a flour out of it, things are different. It's a processed product, and even if it has the same ingredients, they're in a different state and a different value. So I'm not saying you shouldn't eat the rice cakes, but I am saying it's not the same value as the rice. So you want good ingredients, you want whole ingredients, and you want them as close to as they exist in nature. Applies to everyone, all the time, forever. Now we're gonna get to the fun part. How do you eat for you? How do you eat for your state of health? And this has to be personalized, but you can help determine that. Some people, I get these questions a lot. Well, I thought this was a good food, and it is a good food, but it may not be good for you right now, or it may not be good for you ever, but it's good. It's not processed, it's not, it's natural, it's even maybe organic, but it doesn't mean you should be eating it. If you are feeling inflamed, if you are in a flare, if you are having digestive issues, most of the time people need more cooked foods. So more cooked vegetables rather than salads. Now salads are great, and raw foods are great, and they're highly nutritious when you're feeling amazing, when you're feeling good, or even if you're maybe not great, but your digestive system is working well. You're not inflamed in your digestive system. Maybe you're a little bit tired, maybe you're a little bit fatigued, maybe you are not yourself in other ways, but if your digestion is good, you're not bloated, you're moving your bowels, you could eat raw. Most likely you could eat raw. But when you're inflamed, that's when you really want to stick to cooked foods, because cooked foods are easier to digest. So yes, they have a little bit less of nutrition, depends on how you cook them, but they're easier to digest. So you do want to take that into consideration. Like, where are you in your health? Should I eat raw or should I eat cooked? Most people do well with some plants. Most people. Why is that? I know when I say plants, I mean fruits and vegetables and certain whole grains. Why do people? So why is that super important? Because we need the fiber. There's not really so much fiber in animal protein. Fiber feeds your microbiome. Your bugs, they're hungry. The good bugs, they're hungry. They want to produce those good neurotransmitters, those good hormones. They need to eat. And they love the soluble fiber. And guess what? You need the insoluble fiber too, because that helps push things along in your gut. It gives bulk to the stool, and that helps you move your bowels. And moving your bowels is important because we need to get that waste out. It's important to get that out regularly. We should be going once or twice every day. Missing days means we're keeping the garbage inside of our bodies. We don't want that. We want to take out the garbage. You want to have a dirty garbage bag sitting in your house overnight? No, you want to get that garbage out. You want to put a fresh new garbage bag into the garbage can, and you want to take out that other garbage. You don't want it sitting there becoming stinky. Well, that's what we're doing in our colon, so in our large intestine. And that's what insoluble fiber does. And most plants have both. So it helps us to have some plant-based foods. Most people need some. How do you choose your vegetables? There are certain vegetables that are known to create problems for people who are sensitive. So people who are doing well can eat them. In certain situations we can eat them. But for people who are sensitive, sometimes these need to come out, at least temporarily. Those are onions, garlic, tomatoes, and regular potatoes, excluding sweet potatoes. I'm talking about regular, like russet potatoes or other kinds of regular potatoes. The potatoes, they are not so nutritionally dense. They do have some good fiber. There is a way to eat them, but their value nutritionally is not so great. But if you're doing great, if your digestive health is fine, you can eat all the vegetables. But if you are kind of on the border, on the fence, and things are not working, you're feeling bloated, then it's a good idea. Those are typically, out of the vegetables, the number one culprit. The tomatoes, the onions, the garlic, and the potatoes. Sometimes eggplant, zucchini, sometimes other nightshades fall in there. But those are the typical ones that can cause problems. Spicy foods. Spicy foods have their value. Certain peppers actually are really great for heating up the body. if your body's on the cold side, for their good antimicrobial. But not everyone can handle them. Those are also very borderline hot peppers. Let's differentiate fruits and fruit juice. Fruits, pretty good for most people, but we can talk about which ones. But fruit juice, Fruit juice is pure sugar. So you want that fiber balanced with the fruit. So ideally, fruit, whole fruit, you can eat it. You don't need to put it in a smoothie. These days we're putting a lot of stuff in smoothies, but there's a value to actually eating whole fruit. It's actually really good for hydration. It's a good way to start your day. So you eat some fruit before your breakfast, or you eat fruit before your meal, but not after. The ideal way to eat is to eat from light foods to heavy foods. So if you start with fruits, then you start with vegetables, then you can get to your animal protein, but not the other way. So don't put your fruits for dessert. That's not where they belong, even though that's where we often do it. Beginning of the day, before your meals, that's really the best time. And last but not least is animal protein. All animal protein is not created equal, and there are versions of animal protein that are lighter and easier to digest, such as eggs and fish. Meat is on the heavier side. And meat also needs to be very well sourced. 99.9, if not more, percent of meat is not properly handled. The animals are tortured, they eat garbage, and they're very unhealthy. So we eat those unhealthy animals. So is it okay to eat a healthy meat? First of all, do your research. Grass-fed is not all it's cracked up to be. Most of their lives, when it says you get grass-fed beef, most of the life of that cow is not grass-fed. It's grass-fed for a short time typically, unless it says 100% grass-fed or grass-fed and grass-finished. So let's say you're doing your research, you're getting the best animal. This is very personalized. Depending on who you are and how you do, some people can eat more and some people can eat less. And I have seen people do very, very well with high animal protein diets, and I've seen people do very poorly. I am actually one of those people who doesn't do extremely well with that. I do eat eggs and I do eat fish. I eat no meat at all, and I found that works for me. I do not eat animal protein with every meal. I feel like there is a balance, and most people fall somewhere in the middle, which is a little bit of animal protein, variability with the animal protein, more eggs and fish rather than meat, depends on the person. This is a very, very personalized thing, but one thing that applies to all is make sure you get very, very healthy meat, very healthy fish, very pasture-raised eggs. So you want your fish to be wild, you want your eggs to be pasture-raised, and you want your chickens to be pasture-raised. The beef, the lamb, 100% grass-fed or grass-finished, or else they're most of their life eating genetically modified corn. If you like what you heard, please find us on wholegut.com. Stay healthy, stay gutsy, and I look forward to seeing you next week.